On this episode of The Wild Table, we meet up with Russel and Liam to learn the art of goose hunting from the experts. We talk strategy, decoys, layout blinds, and of course get some geese on deck. Back home, we talk through the butchering process and how to utilize as much of the bird as possible. And cook up a smoking hot dish directly over fire. We're out on a farm somewhere in the greater Rotorua region at the moment. You can see Lake Rotorua just behind us here. Out here with the two fellas today, Russel and Liam, who I've been sort of in touch with for the last, I don't know, couple of months, I guess, trying to jack up a spot to shoot some Canada geese. Canada geese have been declassified in New Zealand from the Game Bird Register about 10 years ago, because they're just here in such big numbers, so they can actually be hunted year round. The only problem is there's not a lot of places where you can just rock up and shoot them, so most of it is done on private land. Now these two boys here hunt these geese all over the country, all over the North Island, and this is one of the farms where I think they've shot quite a good number of geese before. I'm clueless, I don't know. Never hunted a lot of layout blind before, never hunted geese before ever. So for me this is a bit of a first, and I'm just dead keen to get into it, get into a layout blind and actually experience what it's like to have big birds come right on top of you. Fingers crossed we can get that done today.
Yeah, but I thought if we go that way we're covering both bases and we still got that high area covered, because that they could try and land up on that knob.
These guys do a lot of scouting before doing any kind of hunting, so with geese hunting it really is about being at the right place at the right time. And both Russell and Liam do a lot of driving around to actually establish where the birds are at what times. And so I think at the moment we're just trying to determine, or they're trying to determine rather, where the birds are going to come from and where the best place is to actually set up. So the two lads are just trudging around at the moment with binos and trying to sort of spot and whatever it is that they base their decisions on. What do you base it on? Where?
Oh, it's mostly the wind, but then also where they're feeding.
Yeah.
Like where they're feeding predominantly.
Yeah.
They'll travel normally in a line.
Yeah.
And so we sort of look at the shit and that and see what's the freshest sort of stuff, you know, like, and where they're going to end up.
Yeah.
Like sort of through there, they've fed through there for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then now they might be moving on to this.
And so where they've been feeding you determined by the grass or just by the droppings?
Yeah, and scouting, like watching them.
Right.
We've watched them go in there a couple of times. So
you've been here the last couple of evenings?
Yep. Last night I was here, and then Sunday. So yeah, last couple.
Yep.
Yeah, just having a nosy.
Okay, and then so they were milling all through here?
Yep. There were pretty good numbers sort of built up in here.
Yeah, right.
Just as it's prime pick for them right now.
Yep.
Elevated.
Yep.
They can sort of see what's going on, you know.
Which you said earlier is that sort of shorter grass, huh?
Yeah. This sort of 2 to 6 inches really max, but they'll still just pick the ends off it. And then just depends on how good the grass is growing each season, you know.
Yeah.
To what they're going to do and how long they'll stay in the area.
And so when you guys set up the blinds, would you be facing this direction or towards the lake?
Mainly to whatever the wind's doing.
Right.
Yeah, using the wind all the time. So if the wind's coming, you want the wind behind your back.
Right.
That's the way the birds will come in and set their wings that way.
Into the wind.
Yeah, cup up and normally come in like that. But here it's a bit funny because they sort of come from a wide angle.
Yeah.
Somewhat. Just the way they're going to come in tonight with bugger or wind could be a bit of an issue, but we'll just have to work it out as we go along.
Cool. Just out of curiosity, on your best day shooting here, how many birds do you reckon you put on deck?
Oh, our best mine's only 130 myself.
In the same day?
Yeah.
Sounds like
it. Our numbers around here sort of, there's a couple of good spots with really high numbers. Mainly they don't feed far from where they roost or where they sit a lot of the time, so it sort of puts pressure on us a bit to try and bring those big numbers in when they could, like this mob here might be holding it up to 200. Well, they'll be feeding in 2 different places normally.
So you can hear them, eh?
Oh yeah, you'll hear the close ones. Yeah. So some of them, like say, some mobs will come.
Yeah, right.
Some might not, just because of the too close. But
yeah,
we'll give it a go. Like I say, the elements. You're always fighting the elements, but no, it'll be good. we'll see how we go.
I'd say if I shoot a single goose, I'll be happy.
No, so are we.
Cool. Okay, so we settled on this probably. Yeah. Okay, cool. So talk to me. So you got 3 different kind of decoys on this spread, right?
Yep. We're sort of going through. We most of the time we sort of go for our flocked range just because of the way that doesn't shine so much. But then we've got the shells a bit lower, they're low profile, so we get them in sort of close to us so that when you're up and shooting, you're not going to blow the heads off. It's quite expensive decoys. You know?
Yeah.
But that's sort of the aim of it. We've gone backwards here, further back with the silo socks, the silos.
Which are the silhouettes, which are just sort of two-dimensional.
The new sort of way of. They've been around for a long time. It's just a new way that people are looking at doing things, especially coming from the States and all that.
Right.
On bigger numbers, you can put out a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
But generally, they can be a bit shiny, but we just sort of put them a bit back further, so when the birds are coming in, they're sort of looking at bigger full-bodied animals,
and so
decoys.
What we're trying to do is get the birds to land here, behind the spread.
Yeah, so we're just parked up in here behind them. They should come in and sort of try and get in on this slight flatten through this hollow here.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a hard paddock to shoot at the moment because of where they're feeding and the way the wind direction is, but we'll just give it a shot. It might be side shooting slightly, whereas most of the time we're sort of trying to shoot them. Yeah. Some guys side shoot them because they reckon they can get a lot more lining the heads up when they're coming in sideways, and you get them lining up better. But each to their own. I like them normally a bit more straight on. When you normally sit up and sack the first 1 or 2, the rest just flare up. The brakes are on normally, wings out. So it's pretty good, pretty exciting.
Fucking hell, awesome, man! I can't wait.
Cool, good.
So okay, layout blind hunting. Never done it.
Well, the first thing is get good grass, plenty of it. Pretty good green grass in good bunches, so you don't lose a lot of it as we go along into the shoot, sort of thing, because a lot of activity. Your gun will be in between your legs most of the time, ready to go on your chest, and you'll just be gun up and pushing out through your blind.
And then just lifting up and shooting.
You'll be you'll be gun sort of ready to go on the bird.
And how do you guys? Who sort of calls when?
Well, we'll just go. Most of the time, I'll do the calling, and we'll just as they come in, we'll see what they're sort of doing, and depends on the birds. Different mobs will come in good, as anything does, and then others will just come in and just flare off to the side, something they don't like, or they want to be over there. So that's the biggest thing, is to try and get them on our X a little bit.
And you call out? Do you say cut them, shoot them?
We'll just go. We'll give you a call.
Cool.
And then yourself being sort of new to it or something, we might get you to go first on them. So when we give you the call, you'll get up, go first. If I call and shoot, that 1 second is enough to change the whole dynamics of what the mob's doing, because I'm up early because I knew what was happening. So if we call, let you shoot, then we follow because we know it's going to happen.
Gotcha.
Sort of thing. So we'll work into that.
One other question: you aim for the head or for the body on these birds?
When they're in, if they're right in close, you're just going to pillowcase them. You're just straight at them.
Straight at them. Don't matter.
It won't matter. As soon as they start climbing back out again, you'll be starting to move forward into that head area. But they should be generally pretty close.
Roger. Cool, man.
So we'll see how we go.
Fucking excited.
Yeah.
It's a good looking setup we got here.
Yep. No, it should work hopefully. Pretty good,
There you go. How about 3? First time in a layout blind.
As they come in, if there's 2 or 3, you just go for them, because there's nothing worse than trying to race for birds. So if there's only 2 or 3 or so, you just get into them by yourself and take your time and doof them or whatever, we'll call it.
Gotcha. As it turns out, geese are not only clever as all buggery, they're also all over the show with their schedule. So while internally I'm banging on the cage to get into some big bird action, in reality the next hour or so turns into more of a scenic snooze. The weather doesn't help exactly either. It goes from blowing to calm and back, with rain interspersed. All these factors adding to the complexity of the game. It's not until almost dark that the big birds finally show up.
sliding over my shoulder. Cheeky buggers. They're coming slowly. Here they are, not far off us. Right. Little shits.
Sorry. Was that too early?
Nah, you got him. Well done.
Got one on the ground though, right?
That one. He's running. Oh, he's running over that ridge. Steve, let's go over that ridge.
Dropped one earlier too, right?
Well, we got the two, and then I think we only got the one out of that one.
Yeah.
Was the one you got, I think, didn't you? I'm still rolling over.
Man, that's cool. Just like
It's a start.
being hunkered down and just like seeing them come right in. That was bloody cool.
Yeah.
Look at that. Just awesome. Oh, that almost looked like nothing was going to happen, but ended up being quite full on there for a minute. Couple of big mobs coming in right on dark, and just right over the top of the blinds, but then they ended up like coming right behind us, so didn't quite pan out as we hoped, but nonetheless got a few birds on deck. I think 4 in total. The boys are just looking for the 4th one. Wait, called quick too, I tell you. Yips. Either way, first layout blind, that was super exciting. Freaking awesome seeing these guys do what they do, calling them right in, flagging them in, and yeah, I just love this style of hunting. Alright, fellas.
Yeah. Well, they give us a bit of a run round, didn't they? They didn't really do up and do the trick like they normally should, but
still got 3 birds on deck, and I gotta say, just like laying in that blind and for the first time having those birds come right over top was freaking awesome.
yeah, it'd be just good if they finished and landed on the X, but oh well, that's just goose shooting up there. Yeah, and we'll see what we can do for another mission.
Next time I'll do it right.
Yeah, that's how it goes. But yeah, no,
that's
thank you
it.
guys very much, and I'll see what I can cook up with these birds.
Good start anyway.
Alright, Canada Goose on deck. What we're going to do this morning is I'm going to take this bird and I'm going to break it down into its primary components, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I personally do with each one of the bits that come off of this bird. Okay, so first of all, when you're going to be dealing to a game bird, and in my opinion a game in general, what you want is a nice flexible boning knife. Maybe even something more flexible than this. This only has a little bit of flex to it. The key thing though is nice and skinny, because cutting the breast off of the frame of a bird it's kind of a delicate process. So if you got a nice, it's kind of like a chunky thick hunting knife, it just ain't gonna do it. The first thing you want to do when we're looking at taking the breasts off is obviously pull the feathers off of it and expose it, and then the next thing is find the sternum. So if you run your fingers along the middle of the center of the bird, you'll see like a nice bony ridge, and essentially we start the cutting process from that bony ridge, which is the sternum of the bird, and then carve it away and sort of pull it off of the bird as we go. So here is a nice clean breast that I've pulled off of the bird. As you can see, there's still feathers on it, but that's quite easy to deal to, because we've initially exposed the breast and then the stuff on the side. I actually find it easier to pull these feathers off once you've taken the breast out. On a duck or on a pheasant, you sort of a little bit in danger of tearing the skin when you do this afterwards, but a goose has got quite a tough skin, and you can just sort of pluck away and just clean the breast up nicely after it's come off the carcass. Cool, so here we have the breasts, right? And it's actually quite a sizable chunk of meat. And now, whether it's worth to pluck a goose or not, I'll leave up to you. I think that for the breast, at least, where the feathers want to come off quite easily, it is definitely worth it, because there's a nice amount of fat in that skin. So that's step one, right? It's a little bit like taking the back strap off of a deer. This is obviously the prime cut. This is what we're after. Now, I want to make use of as much of this bird as possible. So the next step for me is I'm going to take my game snips, which are these things here, and I recommend a pair of these for any kind of small game processing. And what I'll do is I quite simply cut the breastplate off of the birds. These birds have quite a substantial breastplate, but it comes off reasonably easily if you cut along the ribs. Once the breastplate is removed, I actually take the breastplate and I put it into a stock pot, because we're going to make stock from the frame, and then I remove the organs. I pull out the heart, I pull out the liver, and I pull out the gizzard. Right on. Breasts, liver, heart, and gizzard. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the head of the goose, and I'm going to run my knife right along the neck, and then actually I'm just going to peel the skin away, and I'm going to remove the neck. The neck you can either put into a stock pot and have it part of your stock making process, or in this case I've got 2 dogs to feed, so I always use the necks as dog tucker. Okay, so the next step is we're going to remove the legs off of the side of the goose. So all we really got to do is just take the knife and make a cut alongside the goose, and then we're quite simply going to skin the legs out, which is a lot easier than plucking them, and in my mind it's just not worth plucking the legs on birds like these. Now I've removed the guts out of the inside of the bird because, you know, YouTube. The only other thing left to do really is I'm going to flip this bird around, and I'm going to take the knife, and from the neck down we're actually just going to peel all the skin away, and we're going to remove the top part of the frame. There's a certain point back here which I quite simply cut off. It starts getting towards that sort of the cloaca, which is the back end of the bird. I can't be bothered dealing with anything down there, and it's only a little bit of bone in, but the top half of the frame is what we add to the stock pot, and there's enough fat and enough nutrients and substance in there to make a really nice rich stock out of the frame of the bird. Okie dokie. Alright, so here we essentially have the broken down bird. We've got the frame, which is what we're going to make stock from later. Then we've got the breasts, we've got the giblets, the liver, the heart, and the gizzard. The gizzard, in this case, we're going to feed to the dogs. Liver pate, we've actually done a previous video, you can check that out on how to make liver pate. Then we got the thighs, the legs, which are really great for stews and curries and such. And of course we've got the neck. The neck, if you don't have pets, chuck it in with the pot, with the stock into the pot rather, and that's how you're going to get the most amount of usage out of that. In our case, we've got 2 dogs, so that is always on the dog tucker list for us. Okay, so as you saw, there's a number of different cuts that come off of a single goose like that, and we are going to utilize all those different cuts in different ways. Actually, this is a really good time to also tell you guys about our other social media. So we have TikTok, we have Instagram, and some of the cooking we don't always necessarily put onto YouTube. Some of those things we put into Reels, and we post it on Instagram and TikTok. So do subscribe, check it out that way. But what we're going to do today is we're going to cook a quite often underutilized cut in most game animals, and that is the heart. So for today's dish, we settle on some Mediterranean style goose heart skewers. And right now in front of me I have some really basic ingredients. I've got balsamic vinegar, garlic, olive oil, rosemary, bay leaf, the hearts, some thyme, salt and pepper, and the grapes. What we do, super simple, is we take a bowl, we combine the olive oil, the garlic, the balsamic vinegar, the rosemary, and the bay leaf. Just gotta cut those in half. And quite simply toss it into a container, and then mix the whole lot in together. Not a complicated recipe by any means. We'll add the thyme to that as well. Mix it all up. Okay, so with those ingredients combined in the bowl, what we're going to do is take the hearts and we cut them in half. Then they are going to go into the Ziploc bag with half of the ingredients and go into the fridge for the next 2 hours to marinate. And the grapes are going to go into this glass container with the other half of the ingredients, and they are also going to sit in the fridge until we're ready to cook. Rightio, so we've had these beautiful little hearts marinating in the fridge now for the last few hours. We've got the grapes here, which are also just, you know, nice and coated and full of flavor. They're gonna go into the fire first. I've also decided to add a little bit of pineapple in. So essentially what I'm gonna do is gonna make up some skewers with the goose hearts on here, and I'm gonna add a little bit of pineapple and grape to the same skewer. So the skewers with the hearts are gonna go onto the fire, and those are gonna cook for about, I don't know, whatever, a few minutes, however you'd like your rare meat. So 3 to 5 minutes until they cook through, and then that's good to go. Super simple meal, utilizing one of the parts of the animal that most of the time gets thrown out or fed to the dogs. I just like that a whole lot. Super simple little preparation, just a way to enjoy the hearts of the geese. So we've cooked it all up. We've also prepared a little bit of nice ciabatta bread, a little bit of olive oil over the top, made it nice and crispy on the grill. And then I've at the same time prepared a chimichurri, which we've done previously before. It's sort of one of my favorite little accompaniments. It's a nice herbaceous, vinegary, oily, salty little South American sauce that just lends itself to go with game meats. So in order to enjoy this, all we're going to do is we're going to drizzle a little bit of the chimichurri over the top. We're going to pop it onto a slice of this bread and eat it, and I am excited for it.